Happy Sabbath to you all. I greet you well. I hope this day will be a blessing to your soul. Praise God. And I just want to read in your hearing today from Exodus 2, verse 23 to 25. And it says, Now it happened in the process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel mourned because of the bondage, and they cried out, and their cry came up to God because of their bondage. So God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God acknowledged them. Praise God, praise God. In the process of time, in the course of time, as time goes on, in due course, in the process of time, this short time, I want to share with you two concepts of time that we see emerging from this text. The concept of cycle time and the process of time. The children of Israel were in bondage. They were in slavery. Some scholars say that they were in slavery for 400 years, or some say they were in slavery for 430 years. Now it is said that in life there are 6 phases to the human life. At phase 1, we have childhood, from 0 to 12 years. These are referred to the formative years of a young child's life that provide the basic understanding about the human life. Then there is the adolescence phase from age 13 to age 20. This phase is known as the self-discovery phase, where an individual transition from being dependent on their parents or others to forming their own identity, in forming their own independency. It is at this stage they consider what is it that they want to achieve out of life, what is important to them. Then we move on to the early adulthood from age 21 to age 35. And this is regarded as the peak of an individual's life because they try to find their own place in society. They're trying to discover their own goal, own passion, striving for personal success. Then we move on to the middle adulthood. It is from age 36 to 50. And it is at this juncture when most persons will seek to make an impact. Yet for many persons, it can be a sticky point where they feel as if the best life is already behind them and they cannot see themselves going forward. This is where individuals might get stuck into self-doubt and want to give up on their dreams because they think that they're at 50, the aspiration has faded. And then we move on to phase 5. This is the late adulthood. In the ages 51 to 65, this is where persons are more driven to leave behind a legacy. They begin to consider their own mortality. They consider more about life, about death. This is where loneliness sometimes creep in when the children now become an adult and they have left the family home to begin their own family. And there's a shift. There's a shift in the role of the parents. Instead of leading, they are now guiding. And then we move on to the final phase 6. It is from age 66 plus. So it is the phase for eldership, where life is about relaxation. It's a phase of detachment. Persons often reflect again on life with a better understanding that the end is near. It is at this stage where they try to find an inner peace within themselves. So using this reasoning, the children of Israel would have collectively undergone 72 life cycles. And in verse 23 of the text that was read, it said that in the process of time, so processing time is the sum of the duration of an individual activity. This includes their wait time, their idle time, their transition time, and their different activities that would make up the process of time. And the process of time can be as long as an individual wants it, or as short as how they want it. For example, when we are cooking at home, and if we are cooking a piece of yam then, and if we allow that yam to overcook, we forgot it on the stove, sooner or later, over a period of time, the processing time for the yam, if the time is too long, then we know that the yam will be like porridge, right? So it's important for us to work out the time. How long does it take the yam to cook? And we would make sure that we turn off the stove within that time. So in life, there is a process time to everything, right? There is a process time for everything. So the next concept is a cycle of time. And we know a cycle of each phase is the length of time a phase takes to complete. It's the start of the process and the end of the process, and it loops around. So we see in Exodus 2 and verse 23 to 25 that the two concepts, process time and cycle time, were being run concurrently for the children of Israel who were undergoing process time and cycle time. But we serve a God that operates out of time. In Psalms 90 verse 2, it tells us that before the mountains were born, or you gave birth to the earth, the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. So the devil wanted to keep the children of Israel in bondage, but they cried out. Their cry came up to God, and God heard their groaning. They were experiencing wickedness in Egypt. They were being flogged and beaten badly if they were not working fast enough, if the work was not completed on time. So time, the enemy was using time against them. In our culture, we are familiar with our own racial struggles of slavery. The history books have told us, we can imagine the cry of what it is like to be in slavery. Tears are very salty, but I can imagine that their tears were very bitter. Their tears were bleeding tears. On the journey of life, I can imagine, that majority of people might have experienced some pain or some discomfort or the other. And sometimes when the pain hits us, you want to scream or you want to cry out. There is no sound coming out from your mouth. When the pain is unbearable, all you could hear, Sometimes you want to cry and it's like you're trying to just groan. You're more groaning than crying because you're trying to self-soothe yourself. You are trying to communicate the complexity and the intensity of the emotions that you are experiencing in the present time. And sometimes other persons may groan because they're trying to communicate or convey some feelings of sorrow, of desperation, tiredness, emptiness, lack of strength to cry out. But God heard the intensity of the pain of the children of Israel, and God was ready to provide them with the remedy, because here they were physically under constraint and psychologically under constraint. They were mental distress because of the affliction that they were going through. But the time came for God to glorify himself and act on his covenant that he had made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In Genesis 1, it tells us that God is the originator of time, and he alone can stop time. He alone can start time, because again in Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1, it tells us, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under the heavens. So we are confident that God operates the mystery of his divine timing. It is important for us to know what phase of life that we are in And how do we process in the phase that we are in? God dwells in a different realm. And because God is a spirit, there are different ways that we can communicate to the Spirit of God through prayer, songs, worship, talking to Him, crying out to Him. God has the ability to change our circumstances within 24 hours, within one day. And it doesn't matter how long you have been waiting. It doesn't matter how long your process time has been. It doesn't matter what cycle you're on the cycle time of life. So what is causing you to cry out to God? What bondage are you in today? What desperation are you facing? Is it sickness? Is it loneliness? Is it immigration matters? Is it employment? From the text, we see that from the text, we can conclude 5 things that God hears, God remembers, God sees, God knows, and God delivers. Timing is everything. In Galatians 4 to 5, it tells us, but when the time has fully come, God sent his son, born of a woman, born under the law to redeem those under the law, that we might receive our adoptions as sons and daughters. May God remember you today. May God release you from the bondage of slavery, whatever slavery you may in, whatever entrapment, that God will make a way of escape for you. That as God heard the children of Israel crying out in their desperation, may you cry out to God and be confident that we serve a God who hears, God remembers, God sees, God knows, and God delivers. May God bless you today. May God deliver you today. Have a great day in Jesus' name.